Call 535-4602 or 227-8835.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rashad Rosen NFL Report. Well, it all started for real this afternoon at the Metrodome as the Minnesota Vikings took on the defending NFC champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Ahmad came away with a very significant 17-10 win. Of course, significant because they are the defending champs. Nice to get out of the blocks the way you did this afternoon.
I think the best part of that win today was we realized that in order to win in this division, you got to win as a team. You got to have a total group effort. There was a lot of exceptional plays, but a lot of times when you have exceptional plays and you don't win the football game, it's exciting, but when you get everybody involved, our offense played well, our defense played well enough to win. I say well, I mean well enough to win, and our special teams played well. Greg Coleman played excellent. Eddie Payton was just super today, and whatever it took to win, that's what we came up with today. That was very heartening.
That Tampa Bay defense, it's tough to run up a lot of impressive offensive stats against a defense like they have.
They aren't going to get run over by anybody in the league. The thing that you have to do is you got to force them into some mistakes, take advantage of those mistakes, and that's the only way you're going to beat those people. There won't be any team in football that'll just go and blow Tampa Bay out.
Recall a year ago, the opener down in Tampa Bay, Tommy Kramer was not at quarterback, Steve Dills was. It was a heartbreaking loss to the Vikings. That first game maybe is more significant than sometimes we attach it to.
Well, anytime you want to win all the games, but when you're playing within your division, you get a team like Tampa Bay, who are the defending champions, and you beat them right off the bat, it really it gets you rolling, so to speak, because we've got to jump on the rest of the division now by beating Tampa Bay.
Ahmad, of course, a little bit later in the show, you, as always, are going to take a look at the Central Division highlights. There's some good games this afternoon.
Exciting in the entire NFL today.
And a reminder also that we're going to have answering your phone-in questions, as we always do a little bit later in the show. We want to remind you to give us a call. The local number to give us a call is at 330-2404. That's 330-2404. And if you want to call us collect from outstate, that number, the area code 612-330-2688. That's 330-2688. We'll try to answer as many calls as possible a little bit later in the show. Well, as we heard Tom Hanneman talking about earlier, you know, Tampa Bay's coach John McKay is always quotable. This afternoon he said we could have gotten 12 girls out there and done the same thing. Well, actually, McKay's Buccaneers got off to a very good start. Doug Williams got off to a hot start, hitting 7 of his first 8 passes. We get to the highlights right now. Ahmad, I have to believe Williams is just getting better every year.
Doug Williams is an excellent quarterback. He's a big, tremendous athlete, strong guy, and I think he's at his best when you pressure him.
That pass to Theo Bill set up Bill Capice's 51-yard field goal. It's nice to have a guy with that kind of range.
Well, when you play indoors, there's not much wind, and if you get a guy that can kick the ball, I think indoors it puts about 10 more yards on your efficiency.
Double coverage on you and Sammy all day made it difficult, although you did extend your streak to 78 consecutive games catching a pass.
Well, I looked at Hugh Green close up the entire day, and he is an awesome-looking person and an awesome football player.
You know, Bud Grant called him all-world. Tony Galbraith in the game, the Vikings shuttling the running backs, made a nice catch here, although he did leave the game with an ankle injury.
Yeah, I think he hurt his ankle on this play right here. He makes a nice move, gets open down the middle, and Tommy hits him. We call that a seam pattern, and Tommy throws the ball right on the money.
Haven't seen that play before.
That's an excellent play because we fake a dive, we fake a pitch, and then we fake another dive, and we go back with the pitch. And it's a play that's executed very well, and it's one of our better plays.
Now, what were you thinking on this play here, Ahmad?
Well, I was hoping that I could get in a position where Sammy could lateral the ball and catch them sleeping and maybe sneak in for a touchdown, but they pursue very well to the ball.
Bob Brewer, the key block there.
The entire offensive line played very well. They fired out. Everybody got their blocks, and that's what you call one of those blackboard plays. It was executed just the way it's diagrammed up.
You mentioned it was really a team effort. Eddie Payton, an example of that on this punt return coming up.
Eddie Payton is dangerous anytime he gets his hands on the ball, and I think he shows it here that he is a very dangerous kick returner because his height, a lot of guys go over the top of him and they miss him. They think he's down and he keeps squirming and working. and he's going to break a big one sooner or later.
The special teams doing the job. Greg Coleman and Keith Nord combining on this one.
Greg Coleman, this dome is going to do wonders for Greg Coleman. He'll probably play another 20 years and probably be the most efficient kicker in all of football. He's just excellent, and with the other guys hustling like they are, we're going to have, that's going to be a plus for us this year.
Great interception by Studwell as Martin tipped the ball.
These are the big plays that you got to have to win football games. Doug Martin pressures Doug Williams, tips the ball up, and Scott comes up with the interception.
There's a turnover that hurt at that point, too, though.
That's Leroy Selman. Leroy Selman is possibly one of the best defensive linemen in all of football, and you see him make that play. He just kind of runs the quarterback into the back, causes the fumble, and they end up getting the ball.
Had your 2-minute offense going here. Kramer got a little upset with the Tampa Bay player at this point.
Well, a 2-minute offense time was just trying to get up real fast and get back over the ball. I think a lot of people don't really realize that Tommy's an excellent runner with the football. And
he's healthy this year, too.
Yeah, this guy made a first down saving tackle.
Joe Sensor. Now, there was a penalty called on Sensor here for, I guess, kicking Hugh Green. You'll see it on the replay. I don't understand the call. I'm not quite sure why.
I talked to the referee after the play, and he said that Joe kicked him. Here I don't see the kick, but evidently there was one.
Well, Sensor said he was trying to get back in the huddle.
I'm sure he was. Joe is probably the last guy I can think of that would try and kick somebody.
Opening now, going into the third quarter, the Vikings are ahead 7-3. Here's the key play, really, Ahmad. 81 yards in 12 plays, but Coleman is called here, gets a break, running into the punter. The Vikings keep possession. Once again, Greg Coleman will get an Academy Award for that performance. He's gotten one the last 3 years, and he's up to his tricks again. Statue of Liberty, Darren Nelson. Darren shows here how quick he is. He turns that corner as good as anybody in the league. Also using him out of the backfield. Vikings have a lot of weapons. It's tough to attack this Tampa Bay defense, though. Well, we try to come at them whatever way that we think that they have a weakness. And here you see Darren running the ball the first time, and here you see him coming out as receiver. And that shows why he is one of the all-time leading all-purpose back coming out of college. Here's the touchdown to Sammy White. Sammy runs an excellent pattern on the cornerback, Mike Washington. It's just a quick post, and Tommy puts the ball right on the money, and that's, again, is called execution. Is that an instinctive type of move? We'll see the replay here. No, it isn't. We call it a post pattern, and what Sammy does is he splits the seam between this cornerback and the safety up in front of him, and then Tommy throws the ball right in there. Had Sammy kept going further towards the post, the inside guy would have a chance to make an interception. Speaking of interceptions, the Vikings, another big one here by John Turner. John Turner is an excellent defensive back, and he's always around the ball. A couple years ago, John Turner could have easily led the league in interceptions, but he dropped a few. But he's been working on his hands all during training camp, and I think it pays off right here. I expect, and we all expect John Turner to do big things from John Turner. He is going to, I'm sure at the end of the season, he's going to have more than his share of interceptions. The Vikings had just 16 all of last year, encouraging to see 3 this afternoon. I think that we'll for sure improve on that number. Well, the fourth quarter, the Metrodome crowd came alive, Ahmad. I haven't heard it like that in a long time in a home game. And Williams had trouble calling the signals. Well, I think that's great, and it was a good feeling to see it happen to some other team besides ourselves, because we've been victims of that in Detroit, in Houston, in New Orleans, and now all of a sudden we can do it to the other team. This is our edge, so to speak, so we've got to use that to our advantage. That was a 4th-and-1 play, and the Vikings ended up getting possession of the football. That was another big play. They pressured the quarterback, and I think that was Jimmy Giles that missed the ball, and we ended up getting the ball and clinching the ball game. Williams and Giles finally did get it together, although Giles, but he caught 5 passes for 100 yards. As I mentioned earlier, the worst thing I think you can do to Doug Williams is pressure him, because under pressure, most quarterbacks throw the ball for a 4- or 5-yard gain. This guy throws the ball all the way down the field for touchdowns. Tampa Bay helped the Viking cause, well, Minnesota caused the turnover here as Johnson will strip the ball away from Bolt. Johnson's playing excellent football, and this is just a heads-up play. We needed the ball, and like when I said our team played well, here's a situation where we needed the football. Our special team, our punting team, went out and got the ball back for us. That set up Rick Danmeyer's field goal, made it 17-10, 2 minutes left, not safe yet. Well, Tampa Bay, you don't call them the champions for nothing, but Matt Blair makes a great play here. He reaches up, bats the ball, and the ball is tipped back to Willie Teal, makes a great interception, and now we ice the ball game. There's another look at it. Matt Blair dropping back in his coverage. He has such range. Matt is 6'5", but he's got the range of a person about 6'7", 6'9", and anytime you put the ball anywhere around him, he has the opportunity to get up and tip it or even make the interception. Willie Teal, one of 3 men receiving game balls today. Turner and Studwell, I believe, were the others. They made some excellent plays, big plays, and you can't win without plays like that. Times when you need a big play and the team's playing very well, somebody's got to go up and make the play. We saw that the tip and the reception by Teal. That's a play, though. They practice all the time. I mean, that's a tip drill, right?
Yeah, anytime you watch defensive backs, they practice that constantly. Every day they go out and there's one guy in front of them and he runs up and the guy throws the ball and he tips it and the guy tries to rebound off the tip, catch the ball off the rebound. So that's something that they practice, and practice paid off in that case.
We talked about the heat in there. Was it unbearable? Was it difficult to deal with in there today?
It wasn't unbearable, but it was extremely hot. And the times past that we've played in the Dome, it's been at night and it's been a little bit cooler. But today, it was extremely hot. I went up to Leroy Selman before the game and I said, "How do you like our dome? How do you like our place?" He said, "Well, I see that you are making us feel at home with all this humidity." So
they have to be used to it from Tampa.
It's just like that outside down there. But it was a little bit hot today. We could have used some air conditioning.
Okay, Ahmad, in just a moment, we'll return to hear from a number of your teammates who are certainly very happy with today's outcome right here on the Rashad Rosen NFL Report.
Pizza Hut pizza to go. It's a made-in-the-pan extravaganza with a tender golden crust. Pizza Hut pizza to go. Dripping with pure mozzarella cheese and loaded with all your favorite toppings. Pizza Hut pizza to go.
Hello, Pizza Hut?
Next time you get the urge for a carry-out pizza, just give us a call and pick up our great-tasting pan pizza.
Pizza Hut pizza to go.
And in conclusion, I'd just like to say you've all done an excellent job. Except for Cruller. Cruller? Cruller! Who I told to send a package to L.A. overnight.
And it never got there.
And it never got there.
Next time, send it Federal Express, or you may never hear the end of it.
At the time when we should be having small class sizes, instead of that, we're laying off teachers. Coordinators are being cut, which means programs suffer.
Vocational education is very important in the high school. It's something that is being eliminated. Some of the special education programs are going to be cut.
I see students losing hope.
And I just feel saddened at what's happening.
No parent likes his children to go through with less than what he had.
Unfair federal cutbacks in education are jeopardizing the future of Minnesota. Mark Dayton will fight to change that. Listen.
An important part of my Minnesota agenda is to restore our commitment to quality education. We need a good educational system to train our children for the jobs of the future, to bring new industry into our state, and to improve our business climate. We also need a good educational system because it's right. No Minnesota child should be denied a good education. No Minnesota child should be denied the opportunity to become all that he or she can be.
Well, we were talking earlier that really the key drive of the game this afternoon was the start of the third quarter, and the Vikings kept possession for over 8 minutes. Now, that drive was kept alive when a Tampa player ran into punter Greg Coleman. Well, after the game, I asked Greg about that play and also talked with a number of other Minnesota Vikings.
Well, I really don't remember too much about it. All I remember, the guy came across and my leg was on the way down, and he came across and he hit me, and I was surprised to see him there, but there again, we got the ball, and as a result, we scored.
Were you surprised to see the flag thrown?
Well, he took his time about it, but better late than never.
How difficult is that Tampa Bay defense?
Oh, you got a very fine defense. Hugh Green and Leroy Selman are probably two of the finest combinations on one side, end and linebacker, that you'll find, and they cause you some problems. And but we were fortunate enough to be able to hold them out enough today, and some players did a good job on them, and you know, we got the points when we needed them.
You know, a lot of things happen in the heat of a battle of a football game. You were exchanging some words with a few of the Tampa Bay players at the end of the game. What was happening out there?
I'm not even going to lower myself to give those guys any credit, some individuals some credit for the things they're doing. It's you know, it's forgot about, and I won't even mention it.
Speaking of the heat, was that a factor out there in the field?
Yes, it seemed very humid in there compared to what it was the previous games I played in here, maybe because it was night games, but it was much more humid in there today.
What problems did you feel that the Tampa Bay wide receivers were going to present to you going into this game?
Well, we had thought they was going to throw deep more than they did. They had been known for throwing the deep balls and the big plays, and really they didn't go that deep that often.
Ricky, after starting for so many years, you find yourself not in the starting lineup immediately. How does that affect you going into a game?
Well, it's not a disappointment, and you know, it's not something that you can be real happy with. But you know, you respect the guy that's starting, and he's come in and he's done a heck of a job during the preseason and in practice, and he deserves a start. And like we've talked and we explained situations, it's going to be, you know, the four of us or maybe the five of us, however many backs we have, and the situation, whatever it calls for, we're all going to get a chance to play, and that's the most important thing. As long as we can, you know, contribute to winning football games for this organization.
Scott, what was your reaction to the fans' reaction on that fourth one where Williams just couldn't get the playoff for a while?
Well, I think it's great. The enthusiasm is super. I'd like to see it more often, but sometimes it gave us a little rest. I was kind of appreciative, as a matter of fact, but it helped. And although there's a point in time where it's got to cease and you got to let the play. And so it was great to see. It was very inspirational to us as a defensive football team, and it helps. It certainly helps.
No doubt it was a very physical game in terms of the wear and tear playing on that super turf out there. You're going to feel it a little bit more tomorrow?
Oh, I'm sure I will. I don't. The turf is very hard on you. It'll probably be Wednesday before I get rid of all the soreness. But we'll start right back to work tomorrow because it's a short week. So the soreness will be gone sooner than it would be if we were playing on Saturday. But it's hard on you, but it doesn't hurt as much when you win.
You going to be able to play against Buffalo?
Oh, I'm sure. Sure I will. Yeah, I think I was ready to go back in there and play. Pride was hurt a little bit because you don't want to get nicked in a situation like that in a game, and I wanted to play, and there's a lot of guys that play with bruises and things like that, and you just have to do it if you want to be a good football player.
How significant is this victory, the first one of the year?
Oh, it's very important, not only because it's a Central Division win, but we have a very tough schedule first couple of games, and then we're going to Buffalo, and they play well at home, and then we got to come home against Dallas, which would be a great game, and we need to start off like this and keep things going from here, not peaking, not anything like that, just getting better every week, and that was the best part of today's game.
I think we saw the depth of the Vikings today. Sensor got hurt, he went out, Brewer came in, Galbraith got hurt, the Vikings interchanging their backs. It's a good sign.
It is. We do have some depth this year, and in order for us to win, everybody's going to have to do their job.
Okay. And in just a moment, we'll return with highlights from today's other Central Division games right here on the Rashad Rosen NFL Report.
What's for lunch?
Surprise.
A hamburger.
No, it's a chicken patty.
Looks like
a hamburger. Taste it.
Tastes like
chicken. 100% chicken. Like with chicken patties.
Great idea.
That's the hamburger people are mad.
Sure they are.
Maybe a little.
New Banquet Patties, Nuggets, and Sticks are 100% tender, juicy chicken. Gonna drive hamburger lovers mad.
We told you.
What is Nancy Olcon really like? Warm, kind, compassionate. Nancy cares about people. Dignified living and health care for the elderly, quality child care, protecting our environment. And Hennepin County Commissioner Nancy Olcon is a skilled administrator, a sound financial manager.
Big property tax increases hurt both homeowners and renters. We must deliver services more efficiently, solve problems more creatively.
Commissioner Nancy Olcon. Performance, not promises.
Jacob Best Premium Life. It's a full-flavored premium beer brewed life. Got that love for life. Guess that's why they named it after me.
Oh, Merv, please.
There wasn't?
There's all sorts of romances, Merv.
Join me for the best in entertainment, brought to you from all around the world. The Merv Show premieres Monday at 4 o'clock here on Channel 4.
After a long summer of speculation, the 1980 season finally got underway, and today there was a lot of exciting action in the Central Division.
Well, the Packers and Rams went at it, Ahmad. I don't know, I guess everyone had to be surprised. The Packers with that big lead at halftime, and not the Packers, the Rams with a big lead at halftime, only to have Green Bay come back. You've been in situations, I suppose, like that.
I think the way the Packers ended up last year and the way they've started out this year, the Pack is back.
Remember last week we were talking about the Detroit Lions also. Billy Sims finally came out of his holdout, this this past week and played today. Maybe you don't have to show up for training camp anymore.
No, I think that, like I said last year, I'm sure he could play well the first couple of weeks, but that's going to take a toll on him as the season goes on. There's some interesting things that went on in Detroit. Bob Thomas, who used to be a Chicago kicker, came in and was one of the leading guys in leading the win Detroit over Chicago. So it'll be interesting. Let's take a look at the highlights. First of all, in Milwaukee.
The Packers going on to win that game over the Rams by the score of 35-23. Bart Starr wasn't having much to smile about early as the Rams took a big lead. Wendell Tyler barely getting over here.
Well, the Rams started off strong, and I'm sure at halftime they felt like the game was over with. But the way the division is now, it's never over with until the final gun.
Burt Jones got the starting nod for the Rams.
And played very well. He played extremely well. But I tell you what, this tight end, Paul Kaufman, had an excellent day.
I know last year you were talking, you felt that he was one of the most underrated tight ends in football.
Yeah, they talk a lot about John Jefferson and James Lofton, but you can't overlook the tight end that they had, Paul Kaufman. He's an excellent tight end, and I think you're going to hear from him this year.
There's a guy that's been hurt most of the time, Eddie Lee Ivory. He rushed for over 100 yards today.
I think 17 carries for 109 yards. And there's John Jefferson, Lord Jeff, they call him, and he's an excellent receiver.
And his counterpart, James Lofton, these guys are hard to keep off the scoreboard.
I noticed James doesn't throw the ball up in the stands anymore.
Get fined too much last year?
I think so.
There's the pass, the touchdown pass to Kaufman. That put the Packers ahead for good. They went on winning 35-23. The Lions always tough at home, Ahmad.
They really are.
Came back and beat the Bears. Bob Avellini started for Chicago. He ended up with a bloody nose here.
And they're having their quarterback problems starting early this year. Vince Evans came up to finish the game. That's Matt Suey getting in for a touchdown.
Well, here's a turning point of the game. The Bears had it first and goal at the 1-yard line. Nothing happens. You'll see 4 times it gets stopped.
I don't understand how if you have a back like Walter Payton down there that close to the goal line, you don't give him the ball 4 times in a row.
Finally gave it to him on the 3rd down. Then they looked for the pass, the blitz, and they caught Avellini.
Also, on this play, Walter Payton's going in motion. I think when you got a back like that, you got to give him the ball 3 or 4 times. He's got to get you in from the 1-2 yard line.
Major headache for Mike Ditka in his first coaching appearance for the Chicago Bears. I know in Chicago they're still wondering, the quarterback spot is important. They never seem to be able to settle on one, and that's a key position in football.
That's always been their weak spot, and it's amazing that a guy like Bob Avellini, who they've written off for years and years, ends up starting the season.
Well, they said that he adapted to Ditka's style more than the other two. They got Jim McMahon sitting on the bench, too. What do? Do you start a rookie like that off the bat?
Well, if he's not playing well, you don't start him, but I thought that Jim McMahon was a great quarterback in college, and I expected big things from him in the pro. But it's early in the season. It's a long season, and you never can tell what can happen.
Well, after the first week of the season, the Vikings, Detroit, and Green Bay all stand at 1-0 on Thursday. We're going to check the schedule for next week. Vikings have an early game at Buffalo Thursday night. They're checking the rest of the schedule. First of all, you got kind of a homecoming next Thursday night, don't you, Ahmad?
Well, I always enjoy playing in Buffalo. I enjoyed the 2 years that I did play there. I have very fond memories of that city, and I'm sure that's different from most of the people that come from Buffalo. But we got a tough game. Buffalo's a strong team, and last year they picked them to be in the Super Bowl. And without Joe Cribbs, we got a chance of beating them up there.
Last week in your Central Division preview, you said the Lions are going to have to improve their road record. They get an early test.
Well, I tell you what, the Rams coming off a loss like the one they had yesterday or today in Green Bay, they'll be fired up and ready to play at home. It'll be the first game at home, and I'm sure that Detroit's going to go out there and walk into a hornet's nest.
Checking the other games, New Orleans will play at Chicago. The Saints also got beat today at home. And then Washington, they were big winners over Philadelphia today in overtime. They play at Tampa Bay, and the Buccaneers will be a little upset.
Well, that's what makes it so nice to have us beating Tampa Bay this week. Next week, they'll have their hands full once more. So if we can win and they can lose next week, we'll get even a bigger jump on them.
Then in the Monday night special, the Green Bay Packers will get a chance to show their wares on national television against the New York Giants.
Should be an exciting football game. A lot of fireworks there. New York is an up-and-coming team. Last year they were in the playoffs for the first time in a long time. And Green Bay is out to show, to prove to everybody that they are sincerely back.
Okay, Ahmad, in just a moment, we'll return, of course, to answer your phone calls right here on the Rashad Rosen NFL Report.
Just announced by Chevrolet, special factory incentives to dealers. $600 on 1982 Chevettes, $500 on Citations, $700 on Celebrities, $900 on Cavaliers, and incentives on trucks, too. Hundreds of dollars in savings passed on to you by Midway Chevrolet, in addition to the huge discounts available only at Midway Chevrolet. This is the greatest Chevrolet clearance ever, with great savings in the used car department, too. See Midway today, because more than ever, keys that say Midway Chevrolet say you saved money.
Keenan Wynn here. This is not an ordinary barbecue. This is actually a fundraiser for Satoma. I'm a Satoman. What is Satoma? It's an abbreviation for Service to Mankind. What do? We serve people by supporting and providing needed community services, whatever they may be. And we do it on an international scale through over 950 Satoma clubs like this one. For example, we Satomans are working to assure that hearing and speech services are there if you need them. Millions of Americans have such problems. Many, like me, have gotten help. Hearing loss can be prevented and better speech can be achieved through professional services in your community. And remember, we Satomans are working to assure that these services are there for you.
Well, Pat, as the new co-host for PM Magazine, you have so much to look forward to. Minnesota's a wonderful state to live in. In fact, I'm really going to miss it.
No, Marlo, but you'll still be part of the CCO family. You're heading off to CBS News in New York.
Well, ready to go?
What's this?
It's a celebration. We've got some exciting new roads to travel, and we thought we'd go in style.
Join in the celebration of our new season with a warm welcome to Pat Brown.
And a special farewell to Marlo Bendow.
This Monday at 6:30 on PM Magazine.
Well, Ahmad, the fans should still be in pretty good mood after that victory this afternoon. Let's go to the phone and see what they have to say. What's your question, please?
I'd like to know if Les Steckel and Tommy Kramer change their signals every game.
I don't think so. I don't think that there's anybody, the way they send the plays in, we do it, that way we don't have to run people in and out, and it's quicker to do it that way. But it would be hard for the defense to pick up the signal, change the defense, and get ready for the play. It's too hard to try to do anything like that, so I think they keep the same signals straight through the season. It'd also be quite confusing to change them every single week. I've been around them doing it for 2 years now, and I can't figure them out yet.
I don't think too many of the players can figure them out. They're all association signals. It's hard to figure them.
Well, that was one of the reasons I quit playing baseball. I couldn't figure out the third baseman signals.
Okay, let's go to our next call. Go ahead, you're on the air. What's your question, please?
Yes, my name is Ed LeGrande. I'd like to congratulate Ahmad and the teammates for the first win today. My question is in reference to Mr. Kramer. Ahmad, what effect do that have on the teammates when Tommy has such a bad attitude after a lick or something like that, when the next play is really going downfield?
Tommy, I think that's misread. Tommy doesn't have a bad attitude, and it was a situation where he's a winner, and he gets very riled up and caught up in playing the game of football, and he never comes up with anything that's chippy or cheap. Today, the Tampa Bay players at times were taking a few cheap shots at him, being a little bit chippy, and Tommy was just responding to that. A lot of times when Tommy gets fired up, we all get fired up, so he's a leader from the word go, and I don't think that he does anything that would be considered chippy.
Okay, you're on the air. What's your question, please?
Yes, I would like to know how much money you make in playing football.
Would you repeat your question again, please?
How much money would you make in playing football?
How much money would we make in playing football?
Yeah.
You got the
Depends on how good you are. So if you want to turn out, show up at the Viking training facility tomorrow. We'll maybe give you a turnout and maybe offer you a contract.
In a couple of weeks, they may be looking for ball players, Ahmad. We have time for another call. What's your question, please?
Yeah, I'd like to know if not having the advantage of the cold weather will affect the Viking season?
Not having the advantage of cold weather, will it affect the Viking season? Yes, I think you'll see all our receivers catching more passes and not wincing when they do catch the ball, because one of the hardest things in the world I've maintained is catching a ball in about 15-degree weather.
Well, Ahmad, you're not going to have that opportunity. In Buffalo, it should be pretty nice next Thursday night.
Oh, it'll be beautiful in Buffalo.
You got 4 days to get ready for him. What problems does that present in itself?
Oh, not many. You can get ready to play. It'll be more so for the linebackers and maybe for the linemen that have done a lot of hitting all day, but they should come around. They'll be ready to play by Thursday.
Is it tougher to bounce back after playing in that super turf? You heard from Studwell earlier as a lineman. What about as a wide receiver?
It is, but you adjust to it. You know, it's something that you can't just cry about all the time. It's tough to bounce back, but you've got to in order to win.
Yeah, we need to be 2-0 after next week.
Well, we're looking forward to that. It'll be a tough game in Buffalo, but we're going to go up there and do our best.
Okay, Ahmad, thank you very much, of course, for being with us again tonight, and we'll hope to see you again next Sunday night at 10:30, our regular time, right here on the Rashad Rosen NFL Report. Have a good week.
Good night.
Not many people will read all 100 proposals of Warren Spanis's Minnesota plan. I have. It is both comprehensive and specific. It gives Minnesota a fresh start. There are 2 good DFL candidates for governor, but only Warren Spanis offers both a plan and the proven ability to put it to work. We in the Twin Cities need Warren Spanis to get things back on track.
Warren Spanis for governor.
WCCO Television, your ticket to sports.
Hi, I'm Paul Giel, Director of Men's Athletics at the University of Minnesota. On September 22nd, the Gopher hockey team meets the Minnesota North Stars in a benefit hockey game.
It's a game that Minnesota's been waiting for, when the North Stars play the Gophers for the first time and beats the Gophers.
Louis, you mean when the Gophers beat the North Stars?
Okay, you two. There'll be 2 winners in this game. Retinitis Pigmentosa Foundation and the Williams Fund. September 22nd at the Met Center.
Now listen, Larson.
Now you listen, Louis. We're going to be on
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Tonight's town meeting is brought to you in part